Picture this, a frosty winter morning. Snow blankets the fields. The chill is biting, and the world outside feels frozen solid. Yet step inside a humble Amish greenhouse, and it's as if you've entered another season. Vibrant greens grow effortlessly, plump vegetables ripen, and the air is warm and inviting. No electric heaters hum in the background. No high-tech gadget regulating the climate. Just a perfect balance of nature and wit. How do the Amish pull this off? What is the secret in the simplicity of their methods? Today, we're going to find out how the Amish build and maintain their greenhouses without using modern technology. And you may just get inspired enough to build an oasis in your backyard. Let's dive in. To truly appreciate the Amish approach, we need to understand their guiding principles. The Amish lifestyle is a testament to living simply and sustainably, with deep respect for nature. They eschew modern conveniences not out of stubbornness, but because they believe in maintaining a balance that aligns with their spiritual and communal values. Their greenhouses embody this philosophy, a perfect blend of practicality, tradition, and ecological harmony. In Amish communities, greenhouses are more than just structures, they're a lifeline. They ensure the continuity of food supply throughout the year round, which is particularly necessary for families that try to be self-sufficient. The ingenuity they apply in the construction and upkeep of these areas is reflective of their resourceful nature, honed over generations through farming, independent of energy sources outside their community. The agricultural traditions of the Amish derive from the 16th century Anabaptist movements in Switzerland and Germany. These communities viewed farming as a divine calling. They referred to it as stewardship over God's land. Amish immigrants who came to North America brought with them an abundance of farming knowledge passed down from the Old World and adapted that knowledge to the New World. This is a historical perspective that essentially helps in understanding their greenhouses. Unlike contemporary farming, which often prioritizes yield and speed, the ways of the Amish emphasize sustainability. They adopt only what works within their system, innovating in ways that are both low-tech and incredibly efficient. The greenhouse, in its simplicity, is a marvel of practical design born from this mind. Smart placement is merely the first step to making an Amish greenhouse. Placement and orientation are key to the success of this structure. Almost all Amish greenhouses are oriented to face south because they align with the natural path that the sun takes while moving across the sky. This maximizes exposure to sunlight, particularly during the shorter days of winter, thereby laying the necessary foundation for passive solar heating. Passive solar heating forms the core of Amish greenhouse designs. Constructed using clear materials such as glass and plastic, the sun's rays flood in to warm its interior. But it's not only about letting light in, it's about keeping the warmth there, since most of the structures are built to have double-layered walls, with an air pocket in between for insulation that prevents the escape of warmth. Indeed, a well-thought-out design to keep this greenhouse functional even in freezing weather conditions. It is the roof's angle that also plays a critical role. Slanted roofs are very common in Amish greenhouses, which assist in catching sunlight more effectively during low-angle winter months. These roofs also prevent potential snow buildup and thus allow sunlight in during the peak growing hours. Passive solar heating is nothing new. The Greeks and Romans did something similar with their greenhouses, which were called specularia. These various structures utilized translucent material sheets of mica or glass, for example, to trap heat in and cultivate the more exotic plants during colder months. The Amish have perfected and modernized this time-tested concept. Perhaps the most astonishing thing about the Amish greenhouses is the use of thermal mass to regulate the temperature. Thermal mass is any material that absorbs heat during the day, releasing it more slowly as the air starts to cool. It's a simple principle, but amazingly effective, that keeps the greenhouse warm even when the sun goes down. Large containers filled with water are a common element in most Amish greenhouses. Water makes an especially good thermal mass because of its high heat capacity. It can absorb a tremendous amount of heat without becoming excessively hot. Throughout the day, the sun heats the barrels. At night, they release that stored heat back into the room, serving as radiators for the plants. The Amish also used other materials, such as stone and brick, for pathways and walls. These dark-colored materials add strength to the structure and also act as heat sinks, which absorb sunlight throughout the day and release that warmth as temperatures drop, thus maintaining a stable environment. The Amish take thermal ingenuity one step further by incorporating compost into their greenhouses. Composting isn't just about creating rich soil, it's also a natural heat generator. As organic materials like vegetable scraps, leaves, and manure decompose, they release heat, a byproduct of microbial activity. Amish farmers place compost piles along the perimeter of a greenhouse, or even inside the structure itself. The piles then become heaters, warming up both the surrounding air and the soil. A maintained compost pile can reach internal temperatures upwards of 160 degrees Fahrenheit, providing a steady source of warmth that's both eco-friendly and free. Another added advantage of composting involves nutrient-rich soil. Once the compost has broken down completely, it can be used in the greenhouse to fertilize crops, thereby creating a closed-loop system that is efficient and sustainable. Did you know that Jean Paul, a French innovator, famously heated his entire home using compost in the 1970s? His system used a massive compost pile to generate enough heat for both his home and his water supply. The Amish apply a similar principle on a smaller scale in their greenhouses. Another critical part of Amish greenhouse success involves the protection of the structure against heat loss. The Amish know that cold exclusion is equally important as heat generation inside a greenhouse. They protect the structure against cold using natural windbreaks in addition to practical insulation. Windbreaks generally take the form of trees, shrubs, or hedges around the greenhouse. These natural barriers would hinder icy winds and provide a buffer zone that will help raise the ambient temperature. Research has shown that good windbreaks can cut down the wind's velocity by as much as 50% and thus greatly reduce heat loss. To insulate them, the Amish will often stack straw bales around the bottom of the greenhouse. Straw is a marvelous insulator because of its air pockets in which heat can get trapped. The solution is workable and highly sustainable. Once winter has passed, the straw can be composted. Cold frames and hot beds are other weapons in the Amish arsenal for greenhouses. Cold frames are essentially small greenhouse dwarf structures with clear tops, trapping sunlight and creating a warm environment for plants. These frames are ideal for protecting seedlings or extending the growing season for frost-tolerant crops. Hotbeds take this a step further by building compost or manure beneath the planting bed area. As these organic materials break down, they provide heat to warm the soil from beneath. This technique is used to extend the early spring planting season or even to keep crops alive through particularly harsh winters. Amish plant greenhouses with hardy crops that tolerate cooler temperatures. Favorites include kale, spinach, carrots, and beets. These aren't just tough plants, but actually benefit from colder weather. For example, kale gets sweeter after a light frost because the plant converts starches into sugars to protect itself. Succession planting is another technique the Amish use to ensure a continuous harvest. By staggering planting dates, they maintain a steady supply of fresh produce even in the depths of winter. But perhaps the most inspiring thing about Amish greenhouses is how they reflect a notion of sustainability. They're built to last and use materials such as wood and glass rather than their disposable synthetic counterparts. The practices that are followed, sunlight, composting, and passive insulation, are good for the environment as they are effective. Over 90% of Amish farms remain family-owned and operated, highlighting their commitment to preserving tradition. For the Amish, greenhouses aren't just practical tools, they're symbols of a lifestyle rooted in self-reliance, community, and respect for the environment. Everything about the Amish is community-based, from the tilling of the land to the upkeep of the greenhouses. Unlike mainstream agriculture, which tends to be individualistic or mechanized, farming for the Amish is a community effort. Very often, the raising of a greenhouse and its maintenance involves the entire community distributing knowledge and labor evenly. For example, when a new greenhouse is built, it's common for neighbors and family members to assist with everything from gathering materials to assembling the structure. This sense of shared responsibility doesn't just lighten the workload, it ensures that best practices are passed on, particularly to the younger generation. The younger Amish learn not only the technical skills of farming, but also the values of cooperation and sustainability. This would also extend to the community to give back to the greenhouses. If a family finds a new method to enhance the insulation of yields of crops, that information is shared. This collective wisdom in this regard keeps methods evolving, even as they remain grounded in tradition. This is an excellent example of how collaboration can spur innovation even without modern technology. One of the most amazing things about Amish greenhouses is that they don't break down often. Whereas conventional greenhouses might be subject to mechanical failure, power outage failure, or reliance on expensive inputs, the Amish greenhouses rarely fail. Why? Because resilience is designed into them. A major plus is the lack of dependency on electricity. With no heaters, fans, or artificial lighting to break down, the whole system relies on nature's rhythms and the ingenuity of the Amish in exploiting design and materials. And even the most bitter winters, thermal mass, windbreaks, and compost piles keep the greenhouses functional. Another factor is durability. Amish greenhouses are usually made from strong, long-lasting materials like wood, glass, and stone. Such materials resist extreme weather conditions and require minimum maintenance. Thus, the greenhouses can survive for tens of years. This is just one expression of the Amish philosophy of Gelassenheit, or humility in yielding to God's will. Working with processes rather than trying to control them, they develop inherently stable, self-sustaining systems language that are very different from most modern farming, based as it often is upon artificial interventions that are prone to failure. But greenhouses in Amish communities serve so much more than just to grow food. For many Amish families, they're a means to develop a closer rapport with nature and to show spiritual obligations toward taking care of the earth. The greenhouse becomes a place where children learn responsibility, the value of hard work, and helping plant, water, and harvest crops. This hands-on education fosters a lifelong respect for the environment and an understanding of where food comes from. Some Amish greenhouses also support small-scale commercial ventures. Many families sell extra produce at farmers markets or by the roadside to gain an income, thus sharing the sustainably grown food with the wider community. These are small local ventures far removed from large-scale industrial farming. Greenhouses also find their application in the cultivation of medicinal herbs, which are quite essential in Amish healthcare. Many families among the Amish rely on herbal remedies for the treatment of common ailments. The greenhouse provides a controlled environment where cultivation is possible throughout the year. This is symbolic of their emphasis on self-reliance in natural living. Although the Amish are steeped in tradition, they're not totally immune to the changes that seem to be occurring in the climate. Warmer winters, more unpredictable weather patterns, and additional pests have caused some of the Amish farmers to change their methods concerning greenhouses. Where winters have become milder, for example, the need for thermal mass may decrease, and lighter and less insulation can be used. On the other hand, in those regions where the weather is becoming more extreme, more layers or larger compost piles are being employed. The ability of the Amish to change with the times and remain true to their ideology is just an example of how flexible yet wise their methods are. Some have even begun to experiment with heirloom and hybrid plant varieties, which prove hardier against pests and disease. Such adaptations mean their greenhouses will remain productive into a changing future. The Amish form of greenhouse management has started to inspire other farmers and gardeners outside the Amish community worldwide. Most of their techniques have started to find their way into permaculture and sustainable agriculture systems, such as passive solar heating, solar greenhouse design. Designs developed by the Amish were adopted by architects and gardeners to create solar greenhouses. These are characterized by a heavy insulation layer on the north wall, roof slants at various angles, and materials that trap heat inside the structure. For colder regions where heating costs can be prohibitive, such facilities have gained great popularity. Passive solar applications. Generally speaking, the use of barrels of water or stone for heat storage has been quite popular. For instance, urban gardeners often incorporate water barrels into small-scale greenhouses, and larger ones may construct greenhouses lined with stones for the same concept, applied in longer time frames. Composting for heat. Compost heating has recently become quite a popular way for eco-conscious gardeners. The Amish way of placing compost piles around greenhouses has been adopted for other needs, including heating outdoor structures and hot water supplies. These are just a few examples of the many modern solutions to farming challenges that timeless Amish wisdom has inspired. One common misconception is that Amish greenhouses are entirely old-fashioned. While it's true that they avoid electricity and gas-powered heaters, some Amish communities do make use of modern innovations that align with their values. For example, clear plastics. Some of the modern Amish greenhouses use plastic sheeting for their sidewalls and roofs instead of glass. This material is lighter, cheaper, and easier to replace while still serving the purpose of sunlight penetration. Manual ventilation systems. Most Amish greenhouses have manual methods for operating the vents. These provide the means to allow air circulation and to regulate temperature without the use of any power. Hybrid seeds. While most Amish communities prefer heirloom varieties, some have adopted hybrid seeds for crops that offer better resistance to disease and pests. This pragmatic approach ensures they maintain productivity without compromising sustainability. These adaptations highlight the Amish's willingness to innovate within the boundaries of their principles, blending tradition with practicality. Even with their expertise, there are still some challenges the Amish experience in maintaining their greenhouses. Severe weather conditions such as heavy snowstorms or cold periods have also put the structures of the Amish to the test. Some communities had to come up with solutions such as reinforced roofs. In areas prone to heavy snowfall, Amish greenhouses are normally constructed with stronger roof supports or with steep angles to avoid snow accumulation. Multi-layered insulation. In extremely cold winter conditions, some greenhouses have several layers of plastic sheeting or fabric to capture more heat. Rotation of crops. To avoid the depletion of soil and a buildup of pests, even in greenhouses, the Amish do crop rotation. This keeps the soil productive to support repeated cycles of plant growth. These proactive measures underline their adaptability and commitment to keeping themselves supplied with food. The Amish greenhouse model carries a variety of lessons for those who seek to live sustainably. Perhaps the greatest lesson learned is that farming and gardening methods do not have to rely on highly technical answers to function well. Using what is at hand, sunlight, natural materials, and ingenuity, you can come up with systems that are not only productive, but also compatible with the environment. Another important lesson is their emphasis on durability and simplicity. In today's world where everything seems to lean toward disposable technologies, the Amish remind people that it is important to build things to last. The greenhouses are often made with a simple wood and glass design, constructed to last, and with very little maintenance over decades. Finally, the Amish demonstrate the power of working with, rather than against, nature. Their greenhouses truly thrive not by attempting to control every variable, but by customarily aligning their methods with nature. The philosophy can thus be applied not only to farming, but also to many aspects of modern life, from energy use to urban planning. The Amish lifestyle is one that continues to amaze and be respected. The greenhouses are manifestations of a much larger philosophy in which they're humble, sustainable, and deeply connected with the rhythms of nature. By building and maintaining these structures without modern technology, they've created a system that's not only self-reliant, but also a testament to the power of simplicity. In a world that is in constant flux, the Amish bring to mind that often the oldest methods are the most long-lasting. Whether it be thermal mass for heat storage, composting to produce heat, or orientation of the greenhouse to capture the sun's energy, their methods offer an insight into a blueprint of living in harmony with the environment. This is a legacy worth preserving and learning from. If you enjoy this video and want to learn more about the Amish lifestyle, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue to bring valuable content and practical knowledge to our viewers. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments, and let us know what topics you'd like to see next.